It's officially sweater weather. I'm so excited. It's kind of cold out. There's this specific chill in the air and I'm living for it. Am I a little sad like I mentioned in the previous episode? Yes, I'm a little bit sad. I love summer. Who doesn't? Summer's amazing. But now fall is here. Spooky season and it's my favorite time of the year. Genuinely, I love it. I love it so much. And I'm sad it only really lasts like a month because right after this jig is up, we're going straight into holidays, festive, Christmas, fun also. But let's sit in this for a little bit. Let's enjoy the spooky season vibe. Let's enjoy this chill in the air where we're not like absolutely frozen all of the time. Anyways, let me get my laptop. Let me get my notes here because I got a lot of stuff written here that I want to talk about today. As always, welcome to Trying Times. My name's Carmen. If you're new here, then welcome. I'm so excited to have you. I'm so excited to meet you. Thank you for choosing to share some of your time with me. And if you've been here before, then we're like this. You know what goes on here. You know how this goes. Basically, this podcast is meant to feel like a phone conversation with a friend, and it's just chill. We talk about a bunch of different stuff. A lot of the time, we talk about some things that we all just experience in life, sometimes embarrassing, sometimes nostalgic, sometimes it gets you a little bit in the feels. Sometimes it's just straight up funny and pointless, but we just talk about stuff and essentially shoot the shit, I guess. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending time with me. And yeah, as I just rambled a little bit, I'm going to be talking a lot about Halloween in this episode. Let me start by saying I don't like being scared. I don't like being scared. I don't like jump scares. I don't like any of that. I'm one of those people that has very quick reflexes in the sense of like I'm trying to think of an example. You know how at Universal Studios they got the whole horror nights? Here in like Toronto, we got Canada's Wonderland and it's called like Halloween Haunt, I think. And I'm gonna be real with you. First of all, I haven't gone to Canada's Wonderland since I was like 24. So it's been quite a few years now. It's been a few years at least. And I've never gone to Halloween Haunt. I've had the temptation to go because I've heard it's fun, but I know for a fact the way I am, if someone jumps out at me, I can't control if my limbs go flying. I can't control if I get scared. Then I'm just going to get escorted out of the park. So, with that, I've never gone. I've never gone, but I've always wanted to. And then every single year, this time of year, I start to see the Horror Nights types videos popping up all over TikTok. And I'm just like, oh my God, that looks like so much fun. But Universal Studios Horror Nights, that's like a different story. That's a different level of scary. Whereas Canada's Wonderland is kind of, from what I've been told, it's spooky. Some things are kind of scary, but for the most part, it's like eh. Whereas Horror Nights, that stuff is themed to a T, and it's kind of crazy. So I've never gone. But all that to say, I like being scared, but like to an extent. I don't like being scared where it's fully immersed. Will I watch like scary movies? Sometimes. Even that is pretty rare, I'll be honest. So I don't like being scared willingly or put on edge to that sort of a degree. It freaks me out. But I do like the spooky vibes for sure. Which, again, like I said, the episode I did prior to this, if you've not listened to that, go ahead and listen, please. If you want to hear me talk some more, go listen to that one and then the however many before that if you really feel like it. If you don't have to do that at all, by the way, please don't. Actually, don't listen. I don't even listen to the rest of this. Just cut. Go listen to like the basement yard instead. I love Frankie and Joe. Anyways, the episode I did prior to this one was all about seasons changing and transitions and basically like how to shift your lifestyle along with it. It was more so meant to be like, how do we fight seasonal blues? Because that's going to kick in. And every time summer ends, everybody's sad, including myself. So it turned into more of like a weather type episode. And now I guess I'm talking about another season. So now I guess this is like a weather based podcast, which is not the goal, but it's fine. Which, one more thing, I will out myself literally by saying this, but I have a habit of checking the weather app on my phone like at least 4 times a day. And when I say at least 4 times a day, that's like the baseline of like I will just go on it and check it. And sometimes it'll be like for a reason I'll actually be going out and like I just want to see if it's gonna be like nice or whatever. But for the most part, there's really no reason. It's just kind of a comfort at this point, and that kind of freaks me out because you know how we all do the thing with like wherever we have social media apps on our phone, we all have that sort of like a I guess, automatic reflex to where that is on our phone. And we just hit it sometimes and we're like, oh, I didn't even think about the fact that I just opened up like TikTok or I just opened up Instagram or whatever. I do that all the time. But I'm now doing that more so with the weather app. And I don't know what that says about me, but I'm also going to take it as a positive because I guess I'd rather be opening up the weather app than, I don't know, social media or like Instagram and just scroll mindlessly. Why not be informed on what the temperature is instead during this season? I think that that's probably better. So I do that instead. But yeah, anyways, back to Halloween, back to spooky stuff, back to all the good stuff. For this episode, I wanted to include a fun fact about Halloween. So I looked up to see what I could find, and this was one of the top things. Halloween has its origins in the ancient Celtic festival of, I'm going to say this wrong, Samhain. It's spelled Samhain, which is basically the celebration of the end of harvest season. So back then, the Gaels believed that on October 31st, the boundaries between worlds of the living and the dead got a little blurry and the dead would come back to life and wreak havoc among the living. One way to scare the dead, wear costumes and masks. So I actually genuinely knew nothing about this, and I never really did look into the origins of Halloween before this, but I feel like after reading a little bit about that and getting into this, I was like, whoa, that's fascinating. And it was nice to kind of get some of that context after, just looking into and like being so into the holiday and loving it so much for pretty much my whole life. I feel like I never really took the time out to actually go just Google what all of this stems from or what it means or why we do things a certain way. But yeah, so I guess to scare the dead, we wear costumes and masks. And now here we are many, many, many years later, and this is just a thing we just do. And I mean, maybe I'm one of the few people out there that's just not really questioning things enough, but I feel like as a kid who loved Halloween, as an adult who loves Halloween, I don't know why I didn't look this up sooner. And I found that kind of interesting, that origin. So I guess obviously the way that things were done back then versus how they are done now. I don't know why I'm automatically thinking about Mean Girls and their Halloween party and the array of costumes, if you will. Certainly those were not probably meant to scare off the dead, but I find it interesting to see how that's evolved over time. As with anything else, things like fashion and whatever else, clothes and all that evolve. So, in this sense, it's kind of like a different version of clothes. So, it's interesting to see how that's evolved from probably being things that look, I don't know, maybe not the most pleasant or maybe are meant to be jarring to look at to now being like there's there's so many categories of costumes. Surely there are the very cutesy ones, and then there's like the gory, weird, like dark-sided ones. I really love any costume, to be honest with you. Me personally, I don't know, my last few Halloweens I've been like a little all over the place. Last year, I did not really particularly dress up. I remember me and my best friend handed out candy to kids because, like, I mean, like, I didn't really want to go out. I think it was like a middle of the week too, like the day that Halloween fell on, and I was like, I'm not gonna like go out for this. We'll just hand out some candy and call it a day, and then go for dinner in like our little funky, cute last minute costumes. So I did some skull makeup, which I've done before. I'll put a picture of that in here if you're watching this episode. And I enjoyed that. I thought it was fun. And then I wore like all black, and then I had like one black shoe and one white shoe. And they're like the same style of shoe, of course, like Docs, but that was fun. And then the year prior, I'm trying to think of if I dressed up. I don't think I was even here. I think I was out of town, so I didn't dress up. But in the past, I had dressed up as, like, off the top of my head, I can remember dressing up as the Winter Soldier. And then one year I dressed up as Rosalia from like her Motomami tour. And then another year I dressed up as Bad Bunny. Another year I dressed up as Arthur. And then in high school, I remember like you would get dressed to, go to school or whatever in your costume. And every year without fail, I feel like I was just a zombie because it was just fun and it was good. So, yeah, I feel like for loving this holiday my whole life, I never really knew what costumes even stemmed from or what the origins of any of this were. So, yeah, I don't know if me dressed up as Rosalia is meant to really scare off the dead, but I enjoyed it. It's fun. Maybe me dressed up as a zombie would be better. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this has been something I've really enjoyed thoroughly since I was a kid. And it's something that hasn't changed over the course of my life. Like, I still really love the holiday. And I guess I don't want to say the word whimsy, but the whimsy behind it, like the fact that we're all just happy to dress up and enjoy and celebrate. Although I'm sure it has a lot more deep meaning behind it. I think it's fun that everybody can come together and do something like that just across the board and on the same page. It's fun. It's cool. So yeah, like I said, ever since I've been younger, this holiday's been one of my favorite holidays, hands down. Obviously, I think if like you look at all of them, a lot of kids would be like, Christmas is so fun because you get gifts, whatever. As you get older, I feel like, yeah, it's still exciting, but I think a lot of the meaning does shift, for me at least, to being able to spend time with people and like just kind of, I don't know, reflect on the year because it's literally the end of the year. So I think that that's very exciting. But yeah, Halloween is hands down my favorite. It's just so good. And I will say this, at least for a handful of reasons since growing up and considering that into adulthood, these are my reasons for enjoying it. One, candy. I feel like I don't need to like really even explain that, to be honest, because even if you don't really like candy, there's some sort of a treat I feel like somebody could enjoy of any caliber. And that doesn't mean like just trick or treating, but like if you're like obviously now, I'm not gonna go door to door asking for candy or being like trick or treat. I will take myself to the grocery store and buy whatever the heck I want. Or better yet, I talked about this in the last episode too, so go check it out if you want. But the whole thing with pumpkin spice flavored stuff, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I'm not going to deny that. I really like it. It's nice. It's fun. It's a good time. It's also like again, a nice little thing that you just associate with this season and this time of year. So who am I to deny that? It's nice. But yeah, like I think obviously as a kid, candy's the big thing. You go trick or treating, you get all this candy, you bring it home. I mean, and then there's the whole thing of like with your parents checking through all of it, making sure it's all good. If something looks a little strange, we get rid of that. Then you get to like sift through it and pick your favorites. And then it's like you just have all this candy. Like as a kid, who wouldn't like that? Whereas now as an adult, like I don't know, if you go to a Halloween party, yeah, they got candy there. And I'm just like, me at any function, I'm like, food? Where's the food? Guys, what are our options? So, yeah, now as an adult, surely you can go to the grocery store and just buy whatever candy you want. I mean, you could do that any time of year, but it's a little more fun to do it around Halloween. I don't know. Those little snack size things, I love it. I love anything miniature. Like when you are traveling and you go to the toiletry section and they have all like the little mini shampoos and whatever else. Fun. Anything mini is just fun. So to me, candy, again, same caliber there. Okay, so that was the first reason. Number two is dressing up. Come on now. I think dressing up is so much fun. Obviously, this is something that a lot of us don't really do. I mean, maybe for some people do this every day, all year round. I mean, I only really dress up on Halloween. I feel like it's exciting because nothing's really off limits. You can do whatever you want. You can get as creative as you want. And I think the more creative you get, the better. So, obviously, fun. That's a fun thing. Like, I remember going to school when I was younger, or like I mentioned in high school, and dressing up as like a zombie or whatever, and then just going and having a day. That was so much fun because you're going to school and it's something you just have to do. And whether you love it or not, it makes it a little bit more fun, you know? I remember in my high school, they did like, I think like a little haunted house type thing or something. I don't know. There's always fun stuff going on around that time of year. And now as an adult, obviously, like dressing up is even more fun because I feel like we get so caught up in the day to day of what we're supposed to be doing and then all the things to like knock off our to do list that it's easy to miss a fun moment like this. So when we do get those times, it's even better. It's even more fulfilling. I think that's great. And then the last thing that I wrote down as to why I really love Halloween is hanging out with friends. This was something every year when it came to deciding your costume or going trick or treating. It was always with friends. And I, one, feel so fortunate for that. And two, feel so, I guess, nostalgic thinking back on it. Like meeting up with all your friends in either your own neighborhood or their neighborhood or wherever else you're going to a completely different neighborhood and just being so excited to spend time and then go get candy and then checking out each other's costumes and being like, oh my God, like I'm so and so. Or even better yet, if you guys go on a theme and everyone's just excited to see how everyone's costumes turned out, or if you plan them out together and worked on them, it's just fun. It's so sweet, like as a thought. It's so comforting to think about and it's so nice. I don't know. It makes me feel just happy. Like I miss those times. It was a really good time and it was just simpler times. Now as an adult, obviously, yes, we can do matching costumes, we can do all the things, but thinking back on it and the genuine excitement we had for that as children is just so wholesome. And it's really, really, I don't know, it just makes me happy and makes me feel very nice. So yeah, I feel like ultimately this was probably a mix of the most fun stuff that you could do as a kid. Like obviously you get like copious amounts of sugar, you get to be super duper creative with your wardrobe. No one's going to be like you can't really wear that for the most part. And then the third, you get to hang out with your friends. So who wouldn't want that? I think one of the things that I think back to always when it comes to trick or treating though is like there was always an interesting experience that happened, one or another. Like there was always something funny that happened when it came to trick or treating. And I feel like everybody has an interesting story of this. I don't know. Like, I remember a few different times that one of my friends I went trick or treating with actually had a specific costume on and then brought a sheet from home that they'd cut holes out of to be like a ghost. So she would like go and trick or treat, and sometimes she'd put the sheet on and then go back. And I was like, huh. And it was just so funny to watch the switch up. One thing that's specifically coming to mind though is like when she did this, she I don't know, it was just the finessing of it. I think it's the fact that she was just so quick on her feet with it. And I was like, this is an entrepreneur right here. This is somebody who thinks on their toes. This is someone who does well with quick pace situations or quick switching up in scenarios or situations or whatever. Like someone who's just good on their toes as a whole. And I found that so funny. I'm like, damn, did she trip over the sheet a couple times? Yes. That made it even funnier, to be honest. Like, I was like, you know what? You're on a mission and I'm proud of you. You go do whatever you need to do. I think that's amazing. So there was that. Another memory that comes to mind is there's always like people that get really into it, right? And I'm talking about like adults that are very into Halloween. I'm now turning into one of them. Although like I wouldn't say I'm very into it. Like I'm not out here trying to scare people, but I will say I'm very into Halloween. I love it. But there was this one guy who dressed up as like he kind of looked like one of those like dummies, just sat on a chair on his porch, and he was just kind of like all like plopped over like this. And so he looked fake. To be fair, you couldn't see his face. He had gloves on. Everything just looked like he even had like some fake stuffing in like his sweater and like a little bit of hay sticking out from the bottom of his pants. I was like, "Oh, this is not real. This is not a real person. Surely it's not." But then it's one of those scenarios where they put the bowl on the porch with like a note that says, "Please take one." And I'm like, do I want to take one? Is it worth taking one? Is this going to be a good experience or am I going to leave with trauma? And I feel like I should have gone with the latter because my friend again sent her as the guinea pig here. I was like, "You go." I don't want to go. That's scary. Please, you go. So she did go. And then surely the man was not a dummy. Surely he did stand up and he had like a fake chainsaw. Not that that makes it any better. He had a fake chainsaw in his hand. So like obviously he was like pretending to turn it on and then he started he started to stand up fully and then started my friend ran off the porch at this point, of course. She's terrified. And I'm already like down the driveway. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. He literally proceeded to chase us down like at least half of the block. So it wasn't worth it. I did not get one. I did not get anything. Instead, I got trauma from that experience. And I think the following years when I did trick or treat, I'm pretty sure I just did not go near that house again. So that was a really good experience. That was really fun. And it stuck with me into my adulthood. So there's that. I will say now as an adult, I think thinking about doing like a sort of jump scare type thing as I'm handing out candy, because a lot of the time on Halloween, I do just spend Halloween handing out candy with my best friend and we both dress up. And then after a few hours of doing that, we just go get dinner and it's chill. We just go out in our costumes and I'm like, this is nice. Like, it's such a chill way to celebrate Halloween, but we still get to do the fun thing and it is what it is. So we just hand out candy and hang out and that's it. But I do think sometimes it'd be funny to do a jump scare thing. I just don't have it in my heart to do that because I think back to me when I was a kid and the way I thought I was literally going to poop my pants when this man with a fake chainsaw stood up, who I didn't even think was a real man, and started running. And I was like, I surely can't do that to people. I don't know if I've talked about this on here before, but like in high school here, you got to get like a certain amount of like community hours, volunteering at different things and kind of basically taking part in the community and just putting yourself out there and acquiring different skills. And so one of the things that I had done was in our local mall, which is like a super small mall. There's not very many stores in there. They had this one specific part of the mall like off to the side. It was like a unit that they always did like seasonal events in. And so for Halloween one year, they decided to do a haunted house to raise money for charity. And I decided to volunteer for this. And the first time that I showed up for like my quote unquote shift, they made me do a walkthrough of the haunted house. And I was like, this is my nightmare. Because as you remember me saying, I don't like being scared. I don't like jump scares. I don't like none of it. So I had to do a walkthrough. And surely I was uncomfortable. I did not hit anybody though. So we're good. I did not punch anyone while getting scared. So it was good. I was like, okay, cool. This place is spooky. It's a little bit like, but it is a little bit spooky. So I'm cool with that. And they decided to station me as like a character at the very exit. So you've already left the haunted house and then you're walking through this little like hallway to fully exit and I'm just stood there in like a creepy costume. And I got to be like, "Oh, that's me scaring people." Just that's it. So, yeah, I just stood there and that was it. That was my job. So, yeah, I just had to do that for a few days and it wasn't bad until I think on my second day there was a family leaving and certainly like I think different haunted houses have different rules with this, but if you're going through, you have the option of either taking like a glow stick in or a flashlight with you, and if it's on, that basically just signals to everybody working in the haunted house that like don't do too much. Like don't be acting out, don't be doing the most. Whereas if you're walking through in the dark, it's kind of like all lights are green to be like, here, I'm gonna scare the crap out of you. So I saw a flashlight kind of like blinking down the hall, and it was these two parents with a younger girl, I believe. She had to have been like maybe 4. I don't know. And I was like, girl is stronger than me for going through here. So she comes out and she's like crying. And I felt so bad. And I genuinely forgot that I was wearing the costume that I was. So I kind of like bent over and I was like, are you okay? And then she started crying even harder. And I was like, I just made this worse. I'm so sorry to the parents. So they very quickly left. And that was the end of that. And that was my volunteer experience in a haunted house. And I never went back. So that's it for my personal experiences. As for what other people have said, I took to Reddit to see what some people's traditions are for Halloween as a whole, and I found a few that I want to share. So, somebody specifically asked, "What are your unique Halloween traditions?" And then they said it could be a specific decoration theme, ritual, or just something you do outside of the usual things that people do for Halloween. And somebody commented, and this was kind of my favorite, and they said, in the last 5 years, my partner and I always walk over to our local Chipotle to get burritos after the trick or treaters finish for the night. They offer $7 burritos if you come in costume, which we always do, and we love the walk through the crisp Halloween night air and seeing the last few jack-o'-lanterns glowing. And I was like, this is sweet. And someone commented back to that and they said, this sounds like the blueprint for a nostalgic memory in the future. I love it. And it really like it there's something comforting about reading that. I don't know. Somebody said, this is pretty niche, but every year I absolutely must get at least one ride in a seat facing the park on the Supreme Scream Drop Tower ride when I go to Not Scary Farm. Taking in that view overlooking the whole park, seeing the fog everywhere, everything lit up for Halloween, hearing people's screams from down below is like pure dopamine for me. I literally look forward to that 45-second long experience all year. Somebody else commented and they said, don't know if it's unique, but my family always orders pizza on Halloween night, no questions asked. I like that. It's like a comfort, it's a routine, it's fun. Somebody else also did say pizza and apple cider. And they said there was a haunted hayride we took one year, which pulled up outside the witch's hut, and the driver went in to investigate. He said the witch is out right now and we have to be quick. Inside there was pizza and cider, a happy memory I always like to recreate. And that's just wholesome. See, I feel like this season is just, yes, it's scary and surely ghosts and ghouls and all that, but it's just wholesome. I don't know. Everybody's got their own experiences around it. And another one that I have here, and I will say this is going to be a long read, again, in the same chain, is this. So this person says, I have two traditions, both involving my annual Halloween party, which I usually hold on October 31st, which anybody who hosts an annual Halloween party, thank you for your service. Genuinely, I think that that's so much fun. And I feel like everybody needs to experience that kind of a party at least once because they go all out and it's so cool. So they wrote one, before guests leave, I hold a special storytelling benediction. There we go. Each guest receives a candle and a sealed envelope. Inside the envelope is a 1, 2, 3 paragraph horror stories that I've collected from various sources and rewritten as necessary to be about Halloween. I turn the house lights off, light everyone's candles, and we go around the room reciting our stories. When guests finish their story, they blow out their candle. The effect is that as more and more stories are told, darkness slowly overtakes the room. When the final candle is extinguished and it's completely dark, I give my thanks and closing remarks, then declare the end of the party, which What a vibe. That's so cool. And I love how theatrical that is. And then they said, too, at the beginning of the party, I light the several jack o' lanterns I've carved for the event. The tradition is that until 12:01 a.m. on November 1st, each of those jack o' lanterns must stay lit to avoid some dark fate befalling my household. I think that's so fun. Just like different traditions around it as a whole are so interesting. And then the very last one I will share, again from the same thread, is somebody saying, my personal tradition is to have a movie calendar for Halloween. Every day, a film with classics that I've loved since I was a kid and new discoveries. It is hard sometimes to keep the spirit if you live in an area where it isn't that big of a deal, like for me in Paris, but I managed to get into the whole spirit alone thanks to little stuff like that. And I think that's amazing because that's something you get to do on your own time. It's under your own volition, if you will. You get to pick. And I think that's so exciting because, yeah, you get your own say. You get to do what you want. And I just think reading through stuff like this is so special because, again, I love to see how people celebrate this in their own ways. And this is such a good way to do that. So, yeah, that's my whole spiel on Halloween. Thank you so much for listening. If you've made it this far, seriously, I appreciate you. Please DM me or comment or anything and share what your Halloween traditions are because I would love to hear. And I know clearly everybody has their own and we all have our own special things with it. And I think that's so special. And it makes it a better holiday as a whole. So share with me what you get up to on Halloween. And I hope whenever you listen to this, if it's before, that you have an amazing Halloween. And if it's after, I hope you had a lot of fun. And I hope you dressed up and you enjoyed and you had fun in whatever way you possibly could. So, yeah. Thanks so much for being here. If you want to send me a message and talk a little bit more about Halloween, which I think you should, go ahead and DM me at the Trying Times Podcast on Instagram. And I'd love to hear from you and chat a little bit more. So, yeah. Thanks so much again. And we'll chat again soon, okay? Bye.